Hi, never really done one of these before, but I thought I'd give it a go. I think if my 10-year-old daughter can do it, I should start trying to learn how to do it. A little bit of information about me. I'm at the moment 55 years old. I'm a Kiwi, born in New Zealand, now living in Perth, Australia. Always wanted to be a writer and always wanted to be a psychic, but kind of never really put myself out there and tried to do it. Until I was about 45, about 10 years ago, I started deciding I needed to get my act together and have a go at writing. So now I'm an indie author, and for those of you that don't know what indie means, it means self-published. Bit of a control freak, so kind of, I don't know, like to do things my own way, and I, obviously you have to get cover design, you have to get editors. It was a big long learning process. Ended up writing about 13 books, and really enjoyed it. It was therapeutic, so I think even if you want to write just to get it out there, to get your story out there, I would really recommend it. I'm not saying you're going to make millions of dollars. I certainly didn't, but I know a lot of people that have done really well, but I didn't go into it wanting to make a lot of money. I went into it because I like telling stories. I don't know if I'm the best writer in the world, but I love telling stories, and I had all these things in my head that I really wanted to get out. So I did that, and then probably about 5 or 6 years ago, I wanted to start developing my natural psychic abilities that I've had since childhood, and I had no idea where to go, how to do that. I just knew that I didn't want to go out and start practicing as a psychic and having really no idea how to interpret the information I was getting, how to, give somebody a good reading, that kind of stuff. So I was pretty lucky living here in Perth, because I found so much support and information and stuff here. Although in saying that, the first person that I reached out to help me to develop my psychic abilities, and it wasn't easy for me. I am someone who didn't have an easy childhood. I'm scared of the dark. I was scared of ghosts. I'd seen ghosts pretty much all my life, and for me, it wasn't like looking at someone that was, translucent, that you could see through. To me, a ghost just looked like a normal person. So I couldn't differentiate between a ghost and a human being. And I would see someone walking down my hallway, and I'd be calling out to them, not understanding why they weren't turning around or why they were ignoring me, until they sort of just faded away. And then I'd think, oh, okay. And it would scare the hell out of me. Because I didn't know how to communicate with them. I didn't know what they wanted, why they were there, and it's just, I guess, fear of the unknown. So anyway, I decided to reach out to this lady. She had a lot of experience. I'd sort of been stalking her online, I guess, to sort of see how many followers she had and what sort of reputation she had, and she looked okay. She was Kiwi like me, and I thought I'll give it a go, but for some reason there was some sort of personality clash. Now, I don't think I'm a bad person. I think, most people kind of get on with me, but for some reason there was this really bad communication clash there. For some reason she'd got it into her head that I was out to make $1 million out of doing psychic readings, which is not my goal at all. And anyone that knows me, any of my clients would tell you that I don't charge a lot, and I'm helping people outside of my business hours. I'm doing a lot of free stuff. I donate, so it's not about the money. although, you know, obviously you need money to live, so I'm not doing all my readings for free because I'd just be exhausted for nothing. But yeah, she just got it in her head that she either didn't like me or stuff like that. She told me I had some dark entity inside of me that needed to be pulled out. And me, I was as green as anything. I didn't know anything. But the first night I went there, I went there trusting her. She knows what she's doing. I don't. She knew full well all my fears, made fun of me about them, which I thought was really not on. Part of this profession is you try and make people feel at ease. You try and make them feel better about things when they leave than when they came, or that's what I would assume anyway. But yeah, the first night there, she kind of introduced me to psychometry, I guess. Now, I've always had an interest in photos. One of my very first jobs when I was a teenager was working in the photo industry. Always loved photos. I don't know why, but there's just always been something about photos. So psychometry I'm interested in. I read photos. That's one of the things I started out doing. Holding on to jewellery, personal items, and I've been, over the years, been given some pretty weird things to hold on to, but anything works pretty much. And so I was really excited. I really wanted to try this psychometry, and I held on to her bracelet, and I gave what I think was quite a good reading from that. I got quite a few hits, first time ever, and I was so excited. I'm like, wow, this is really cool. And I was with a friend of mine who came along with me for the ride pretty much. She's sort of a little bit interested in it as well. And she drove me there, took me home. Anyway, she dropped me off back at home after this. And I swear, from the minute I got home, I felt like I had sudden paranoia. I felt like there was people watching me, there were people behind me. It was the horriblest feeling I've ever felt. So I got inside and I thought, oh, I'll get inside, I'll get rid of that. It hadn't gone when I got inside, it was worse. So I went on for like that for quite a while, and I asked her to help me. I was like, can you please come round? I think I've brought something home. There's something in my house. I just feel like it's watching me, it's following me around, and I don't know what to do. She wasn't interested. She's told me I was imagining things. I had PTSD, or I was, making it up or trying to get attention or something. And I was actually terrified in my own house. Not a good way to start. If I had have been someone that gives up easily, that would have been it for me. I would have gotten out of that and said, no, I'm never doing this again. But I'm not. I'm not like that. I pretty much fight until I figure something out. So I asked and asked and asked. She wouldn't help me. So I reached out to another lady, another one of her trainees, and asked her to come around to my house. Now, she's a very talented clairvoyant that I knew could see spirits, and just, can you come around, tell me if I'm being paranoid. Well, she came around. She says, you're not being paranoid. She says, I can't see anything as such, but I feel like someone's trying to push me out the door. And that kind of was a bit funny, to me, because I was like, this obviously knows that you're psychic, and they're trying to get rid of you pretty much. So, and then the other lady found out that I got her around, and she really let me have it. She really had a go at me, said, what sort of a position I'd put her in and all the rest of it. And I was like, well, I was desperate. So anyway, she kind of forgave me. We carried on. I didn't know what was going on. I still felt this thing in my house. And cut a long story short, she ended up telling me that I had some dark entity inside me that needed to be pulled out. So I went round there, and that's pretty much exactly what her and a few of the other people did. And I would have thought she was, in my head I'm thinking, oh, this is just ridiculous, I don't believe in this sort of stuff. And I would have sort of thought she was, a bit cuckoo if I hadn't actually felt something pulled out of me. I literally felt something go out of me. It was the weirdest feeling. So I thought, well, maybe she does know what she's talking about. So anyway, she said, well, you might feel a little bit lost for a few days, but when you, go home, try and not get too, don't feel too depressed like you've lost something. Just try and, keep your mind busy. So anyway, I went home, had a shower. It was pretty late, so I went to bed. I lay down, closed my eyes, and within about, 5 minutes, I felt it go back in again. And I'm like, oh, God. And I was literally terrified. I'm so glad my husband was home, because if I was home by myself, I don't know what I would have done. So I'm lying there and I'm thinking, what is going on? And then, no word of a lie, I saw this face right in front of me, like in the dark. I don't know how I could see, but I could see this face hovering over me. It was an African man, and the only person I could describe he looked like was like Shaka Zulu. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie, but Google it. Terrifying, this face right in front of me, and he looked so angry, and I was like, oh, this must be this thing that was inside me, and I was so terrified. So I sort of was just lying there trying to sleep, and my heart was racing, and in the morning, I felt different. I thought, you know what? Maybe I need to sort of do a bit of my own research. Maybe he's my guide. Maybe he's trying to tell me something. So I did a bit of, I hadn't sort of learnt the gist of meditation yet, which stupidly enough should have been one of the first things I should have learnt, but it wasn't. So I sort of sat down quietly and I closed my eyes and I just asked, who are you? And straight away inside my head I heard the word Aman. I'm like, wow. So then I said, well, who, are you my guide? And I heard, I walk with you. And I heard Mumbali, and that was it. That was all I heard. And I'm like, oh wow, maybe this could be my guide. This dark African scary looking dude is my guide. So I googled and I started doing research, and I asked her, could this be my guide? And she goes, oh, maybe, or it could just be, some dark spirit or something. But I don't know, I started trusting my own intuition, and I just, in my heart, I knew he was there to help me, and he was my guide. And pretty much from that moment forward, the fear started to subside. Anyway, I went to her house, and she was in one of these moods where she was just having a go at me in front of everyone, belittling me, putting me down. And one of my friends, Hayley, she said, Gladys, is Aman, your guide, is he here with you? And I said, yeah, he didn't want me to come here, because from the minute I started sort of connecting with me, he did not want me to go there. He kept saying, not good, don't go there, and at that point I hadn't gotten to the stage where I trusted listening to him. So anyway, she said, because I can see a shadow behind you, and it just feels like it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And this medium, or this lady that was teaching me, looked behind me, and her face just went white, and she just shut up. So we ended up having a big argument and falling out, and that was that end of that. And I was kind of left to my own devices for a while. And with that, I started meditating. I started asking him questions, seeing visions, writing down anything that popped into my head. And I sort of met up with another couple of ladies at my kids' school. And I don't know what it is, but you kind of get drawn to people that are like-minded people that are into the same sort of things. And these two ladies were very spiritual, and I sort of said to them, because at this stage this thing was still in my house from all I could tell, so I asked them would they mind coming around to my house and just checking it out, seeing what they feel. So all three of us, because this thing it's actually my reading room now, my happiest room in the house, but I used to be terrified of this room. So I got them to walk in here. And my son used to come down here and watch YouTube, and he had all his gaming things and that set up down here. They came down the hallway, and as they went to walk into this room, his Wii U turned on by itself, and they just looked at me. And they both felt the push as well, as if they were being pushed out. So they said they didn't know so much if it was a single entity, if it was a spirit or whatever, but for some reason I'd gotten into some sort of rut where all my blinds were closed, the doors weren't open, it was dark, and I was wearing black. I don't know how I got into that position, but the minute they sort of said to me, you need to open up and let the light in, I was kind of like, I hadn't realised that I wasn't doing that. So I did that, started clearing the energy, and just connecting with my guide, and I felt an awful lot better. And then I just started looking for another mentor. So anyway, I don't know if this is something you're interested in. I'm quite happy to do these, just hop on and have a little bit of a chat about my experiences and how I learned, and what things I've sort of worked out along the way. But if you are, just check it out. I've got a couple of pages on Facebook. One is Gladys Quintal Author, and the other one is Psychic Readings by Gladys Q. And also obviously a YouTube channel. Okay, so that's me. Bye.